Welcome to another episode of New Gameplay. Today, I am Kyle Hilliard here with Marcus Stewart. What's up, Marcus?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm excited. I'm in a good mood. I'm excited to watch a bunch of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth footage, which we've gotten a lot of actually lately in the last 2 weeks or week, I suppose.
Yeah, pretty much since the preview embargo for the trip I went to lifted last week. Then they just had a Tokyo Game Show this past weekend, and Square had a whole thing where they were spilling more tea on this game.
Yeah, I just it feels like the floodgates have opened. There's another episode of New Gameplay today on Game Informer's YouTube channel that I'm not sure who you were with, Marcus, but you guys looked at a lot of gameplay as well, right? You and Wes, I think?
Yeah, it was pretty much just the 2 demo sections I played. But yeah, that was in Mount Nibel or Nibel. And the other one was outside of Junon, but this section is another open, open world, I guess is what we're calling it, area, yeah. Kind of outside of the village of Calm, and it looks like it's kind of right after you leave Midgar too.
Yeah, maybe this is even early in the game, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean in the original game, Calm is the kind of the city right by Midgar, on the outside.
Right.
So yeah, this could pretty much be the beginning. We didn't watch their Tokyo Game Show presentation just because of I think it was over the weekend and just the time difference, so they might have given context of when this takes place in Rebirth. So if so, apologies for that if we just sound stupid right now.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good asterisk to add to this conversation. Sure.
Yeah.
So when you were in California, I think, recently, and you played a bunch of the game, did you play this quote-unquote open world stuff? Or are you seeing new stuff alongside me?
I mean, I played a different section that was in a big open area. It was not this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this truly, is more open than I expected Rebirth to be, honestly. I really thought it was just going to be, fully linear. The sort of open world part of Final Fantasy VII, I just pessimistically perhaps I was like, well, that's not going to be in the remake. That's just too much to do.
Yeah,
right?
So you can see the map there.
But this is pretty significant. I mean, you kind of called it open-ish world, right? You put sort of quotations around it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a Tears of the Kingdom situation or anything, but this is a big, wide path to take, and it's, the game looks like it's keeping up, too.
Yeah, and the only reason I said open-ish is that I will say, based on that map that we just saw, the map of what I played, which was, the section outside of Junon, was smaller than this one. It was still big, but it didn't look as big as what we just saw, so... And since,
right.
I think Square has said open world, but everyone has the definition of, open world, and then also with Final Fantasy 16, that has big open areas, but they describe that as being oh, those are more open hubs. So I just wasn't sure what was their line there. Even if they say open world for this game, is it actually, or is it closer to Final Fantasy 16? But at least that map that they just pulled up was okay, that looks bigger than any open area that I've seen in 16. And granted, I'm still playing that game, but I was like, okay, this might be, maybe they are. Maybe this is a little bit more open world.
Even 15, which you could argue is the closest Final Fantasy has ever gotten open world, is even that feels like a little bit of a stretch, it's not quite what you think when you think open world. But I also as we're looking at this in the menu, you could see the crew standing in a physical space. I think it's a nice little touch. I think that's cool.
Yeah, the menus look nicer. We saw there. I don't think you saw it in our NGT. Kyle, I don't know if you watched it, but
no, I haven't had a chance.
The item transmitter there is a new feature for Rebirth where you're picking up ingredients, either you can see them all over the place, or when you beat enemies, you can use them to make your own stuff now. So you can craft potions and Phoenix Downs and just other little kind of helpful items just by going in that menu, which is kind of nice. Just I can just make my own stuff on the fly. Look at those bunnies.
Yeah, I don't say this as someone who wants to be clear, but I wonder if you can attack them. I don't think you should.
Oh, there we go. So we talked about this in the NGT, but if you see those baby Chocobos around, they'll guide you to a Chocobo stop. And the Chocobo stops are pretty much fast travel points. You'll see a sign on the ground that you'll lift up. So yeah, if you see those guys, they're going to beckon you hey, hey, listen, basically.
Well, this is actually a good transition point, Marcus, because I wanted to see some of the Chocobo riding. So I'm gonna jump ahead to that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we jumped ahead a bit in this. But to be clear, this is like a B-roll package that Square Enix sent us. This is not us playing, but it is an opportunity to look at some gameplay, which I've really wanted to see since you described it to me. Is A, Chocobo riding, and B, specifically Red 13 riding a Chocobo, which there he is.
Look at our buddy up there.
It's weird.
There's so many questions.
I don't know how I feel about it.
Like, I want to see how he gets up there. Like, you know, the Chocobos just kind of appear underneath the characters when you summon them. Like, I want to see the actual, like, does he jump up there, or does somebody have to help him up? And like, it's kind of worrying that his like flame tail, it's kind of close to the Chocobo's tail. Like, it feels like that could be a fire hazard.
God, I never made that sort of Charizard connection. Yeah, Red 13. So he's got a flaming tail, doesn't he?
I asked that in the last video, people to comment, because I also asked this.
Oh, I'm sorry to retread.
Oh, no. I don't think I got a really good answer. I asked this even to a Square rep when I was playing the demo about, like, if his tail gets extinguished, is that bad? Is it a Charmander problem? Like, is he going to die, or does it not matter? And no one has given me a definitive answer, so I pose it again, chat, if anyone knows.
This I like. This is, I guess it's like one of those weird specific things that I'm into, but it's like I like having this like high-speed vehicle that you can use in the open world. It looks even more generous, I guess you could say, than like a horse in a comparable video game.
Oh yeah,
just like,
especially because the Chocobos can swim too. In the NGT, we saw them cross some bodies of water, so you can use them to get to like maybe like islands that you see out there, you know. And it can also sniff out buried treasure. I don't know if we'll see it in this footage, but yeah, you'll come across something, and they're like, you'll see like a little mark on their head, and then you can kind of like use them to sniff out treasure to dig up. So they've got multiple uses.
Yeah, and it's cool that how it was in Remake as well, but it's just always nice to be able to engage with enemies that are actually there. You know, like, as opposed to just you're walking around and suddenly you're thrown in a battle.
Yeah.
You know?
I've always...
God, it looks like Xenoblade right now, isn't it? Doesn't it? It's weird.
I mean, it's definitely more active than Xenoblade. I guess maybe like...
Oh, undoubtedly.
Yeah, but like... Yeah, I guess you see, I mean, in terms of like surrounding them. But obviously, like, Xenoblade's a little bit more passive by comparison. You're just kind of holding a button down most of the time, but...
Oh, yeah, I just meant more like the sort of visual identity of it all. Like, being in this big sort of field and fighting these big... creatures, like, it just feels very Xenoblade, which is a compliment, honestly. Like, switching between characters and stuff like that. It's just not the point of reference I was expecting for Final Fantasy VII, but I like it. Yeah,
it's like the combat. I said this in my preview write-up, that combat still feels super good. I really love the remake's kind of like blend of stylish action and turn-based mechanics. It's cool that you can just swap between party members, like you said, on the fly, just hitting the D-pad. Like, I'm going to be Red 13 and do a cool thing. And now that you have those new synergy attacks that sort of encourage you to change up your party lineup, so you can be like, I want to see what special attack Cloud and Aerith have together, so I'm going to use them for a bit, you know.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see any of that here, but I mean, like, the combat still looks incredibly flashy and just like cool to look at. Like, every time I watch it, I always think back to, like, man, little kid me seeing Final Fantasy VII for the first time would have his little mind blown if he could see what they've done to this game in a good way. I mean,
oh yeah, no, it looks fantastic. But yeah, I mean, that's Rebirth, which is we have another, like I said, new gameplay today on the site, where we look at what would you say that mostly is? It's like combat and stuff like that, Marcus?
Yeah, it's a bit of everything. It's like combat, a little bit more context on the mission we just did, like these world intel missions that I guess are going to be all over the open world areas, and then just my general thoughts about like the game from like a hands-on perspective, since I got to play it, and Sephiroth gameplay too. Right,
and there's a whole written piece on the site as well. All about your time with the game. You've been killing it with the coverage. So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in and checking out Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which comes to PlayStation 5 exclusively on February 29th.